Winning isn't everything, but it's the only thing. In our business, there is no second place. Either you're first or you're last.
It was named after Vince Lombardi. You play in Green Bay. As important as it is to any other team, it means more to us.
When he walked into the meeting, he looked us right in the eye. He said, "Gentlemen, we're going to relentlessly chase perfection."
My first thought was on any play with my arm strength, I may not let anybody know this, but my first thought was home run. On every play. On every play.
He did what? Fires into the end zone. Caught! Touchdown! No!
Welcome back to the Packers Corner. Awfully thankful to see you all this week and awfully thankful for another Packers win. I want to dive right into it and show off our game ball for the Packers from this week. We had Rashan Gary return to Ford Field there, where he a year ago tore his ACL. He came back with 3 sacks, and this is what they had to say in the locker room after the game.
You know what it feels like. You know what it looks like. That's the standard. Hell of a job. That is a total team win. Everybody getting the game ball for that. I have one special game ball a year ago. You came back with the benches. I'm tired of crying around y'all. Just like Coach said, bro, this is a fucking team win. Without y'all, I wouldn't be able to get the sacks, the tackles. This game ball is for everybody. That's how we go out there and play complimentary ball. Pack on three, pack on three. 1, 2, 3.
Cool to see Rashan Gary have a moment there with the guys. And easy, Schmitty, you got a tear in your eye.
I'm tearing up watching this. I love that stuff, Griffey. That really brings just strikes a little chord with me. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. How can you not be romantic? How can you not be emotional about football here? Well, it's easy to be hyped up after we just had the win of the season. I want to start off with Derek and get your thoughts, though, as we were able to beat the Detroit Lions and bolster our playoff chances here to boot. What'd you think watching that one, Derek?
That was quite the impressive win, right from the start, which is what we were missing, the first 9-10 weeks this season is just slow start after slow start. And we came out firing, making plays, scoring points. That's not something we were doing, most of the year in the first half. And kind of with that post game, huddle there by LaFleur and the team the last 2 weeks, it's easy when you're winning, but it does seem like the guys are pulling together, playing for one another. I think I mentioned that last time on the field or on the pod that on the field, it seemed like they weren't playing for the guy next to him as much. They weren't as fired up, playing as one unit. And it seems like we're kind of turning that around here now moving forward. It seems like the guys are having fun and they're making plays.
Easy to have some fun when you have a start like we did to that game. We got things rolling pretty early, and we got a lot of things that went our way, and we made the most of it at the same time. Schmitty, what were your preliminary takeaways from this game?
Yeah, just building off of the video we just showed, Matt LaFleur calling out the entire team. I think that was a very just a special thing to do because it really required the Packers on both sides of the ball, special teams as well, to get this win. And Rashan Gary spearheading that. That was absolutely fantastic. I know quite a while ago I said we don't deserve Rashan Gary. We shouldn't even sign him. Boy, am I glad that we did. He is an incredible playmaker. And Mr. Gar, I think the price is going up. I would love to get Jordan Love at a 3-year, $100 million contract, but I think that we are, I think that ship has sailed. We might be strapping in for the big bucks. And honestly, I'm happy to pay it because some of those passes, Griffey, how could you not be impressed with this kid's arm talent? he had that one where he rolled out to the right side and chucked it all the way across to maybe Malik Heath, I think, or Wicks. Just an incredible display of his arm. That one that he fit in really tight to Reed. So how can you not be excited about where this thing just might go? And if you look around who we're chasing to get into the playoffs, we certainly it's in our favor right now to get in and get that seventh spot.
Plenty to be excited about there, of course, Dad. We're going to dive into some Jordan Love particular contractual talks in a little bit here. Anything that you could point out if we look at the other side here, Dad? Any areas for improvement? What left you wanting a little bit more as we watch this touchdown to Tucker Kraft?
I would just say my overriding impression of this game that maybe not everybody would point to right away is just the demeanor of Jordan Love back there. He looks totally in control. He looks totally calm. The team clearly has taken on some of his personality. They look eminently confident and their abilities and talking about things. I mean, we left a lot out there. Jayden Reed dropped a ball, a 20-yard shot down the field on the right side there, and about the 15-yard line. That would have been another score going in. Dobbs dropped a third down and 7-yard ball right in his arms, and we had Christian Watson wide open for a touchdown when Josh Myers couldn't block the nose guard and pressure came up the middle. If Jordan Love would have stepped into that, so you're talking about 13 to 21 more points there. I hate to say it, but so that really bodes well. If you're talking about what we can do better right here, we missed an extra point again, didn't we? And I think we missed one field goal. So we got to get our rookie kicker squared away. But this is really nitpicking. This is quite an amazing deal. And let's see if it's sustainable now, because the question now becomes for this young team to have put a performance like this out there on the field, who is it in the NFL that they cannot potentially compete with? Except now expectations are up, right? We've even mentioned the P word, which would have been unthinkable. So, how does the team perform now that they're expected and the expectations have been raised? Will be an interesting thing to observe.
Absolutely. Well, I want to dive in, like we said, to the contractual discussion for Jordan Love here. So I think this will kind of color that discussion. I thought this was an interesting tweet from Ken Ingles, who I follow. He's got some good information about the Packers salary cap and so forth pretty continually. But the more as he investigated and researches and asks those smarter than him, he says it appears that the Packers are unable to extend Jordan Love until after May 2nd of 2024, meaning his current contract carries into the start of the 2024 season and can't extend until after the initial free agency draft period of the new league year next year. So I think that colors our discussion. It makes me feel a little bit better that it's not like we missed an opportunity, like you were mentioning a couple weeks ago here, Dad, that maybe we should jump on it before we have these primetime games against Detroit and Kansas City and then Monday night against New York. I think if that were the case, as we've discussed, the price has gone up, but it wasn't really an option for us. So given that, what are your thoughts on it? Looks like we pretty much have them locked in for next year, at least for the start of the football year there, Dad.
I think we talked about last week. I don't know whether they can rip up the contract and start over, but I would have been negotiating for 3 years. I think Schmidt said it around 100 million. That ain't going to happen now. If I'm his agent, I'm saying I think you even said it, Greg. I'd say I'm happy to wait till the end of the year. Let's see where we are then, because I think my confidence is in my client, Mr. Love. And I just find this all very interesting. We kind of talk about the deer shack ratio, the guys who haven't seen enough yet. I don't get it. I can't abide the notion that you haven't seen enough yet. It's kind of like Colin Cowherd. I've been following him 3 months ago. He predicted the Packers would win 4 games because they didn't have a very good quarterback. They were going to sink back into the 80s and things were just terrible. And now I listened to him most recently. Oh yeah, I've definitely seen some improvement from Jordan Love, but there's no way he's ever going to be Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers, and all these obtuse comparisons. Listen, he doesn't. We don't have to make that judgment now, and all he has to do is be Brock Purdy or Dak Prescott or the upper echelon quarterbacks in the NFC, and then his legacy will be written when the big games come, hopefully, which they do. And I'll tell you right now, Brett Favre, as much as we love him, and Aaron Rodgers, as much as we love them, their legacies in the second half of their career were not that stellar. Big failures, 4 NFC championships lost by Aaron Rodgers. Some of them weren't his fault. Some of them, a player or two could have made a difference. Brett Favre, the disasters against the Giants and the Eagles. And so we'll just see when and if hopefully Jordan Love gets to that point, then his legacy will be written. But right now, how you can nitpick about anything about this guy, I guess we'll see over the next 6 weeks. But I'm ready to sign him up to the big money. Let's get it done before it gets to be a tougher negotiation than it already is.
Well, your brother Greg, of course, Dad, is the one who we've had an ongoing discussion with, and he's been maybe the leading Jordan Love skeptic. Not that he's coming down on him too hard, but he hasn't seen enough, as he put it. I would have words for the folks in that camp that we need to anticipate where the ball is going to be, not run to where the ball is. And with Jordan Love in that case, I think where the ball is going to be is that he is going to get into the MVP discussion this year, and that he is going to be on a level with Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre someday in the future. That's where we need to look ahead. I've been ahead of the game on this Jordan Love thing for about 3-4 years now, and that's where the next level is. So he's not there yet, but that is where the ball is headed as far as I'm concerned. Now, Schmitty, you on the other hand, have had an up and down yo-yo sort of a season with both the Packers and Jordan Love this year. We went from from checking in from Salzburg, Austria, the football gods are smiling down on us. Boy, I think we found our guy, to the Packers aren't going to win another game this year, to now the playoff considerations. Well, let's check in on where you are at with Jordan Love and his progression and the team as a whole there.
I will just add on to the contract deal. Goody did something very smart in extending him, giving him a little extra money. I believe he has 1 year after his rookie contract is up. So a good faith thing going into this year, which I think will bode well for getting a contract done soon after May. So that was really good to see. But how can you not think that there's a lot of ups and downs in this year? I'm certainly expecting there to be some more failures for Jordan Love this season. When you look at what comes Sunday, I can expect maybe a regression because that's a really good defense they're going to play against. But I think we're just going to have these talks every week and things that Jordan did well and things he didn't, depending on if the Packers win or not. Because winning certainly cures all. It hides some problems. The last couple of weeks, he's throwing the ball around the yard, Griffey, 300 yards almost on the last 2 weeks, and he put some tight balls into some places that only I thought 12 could do on Thursday. So it's just one of those things where I get defeated by the bad stuff way too quickly. I get overly excited in Salzburg, Austria, when he goes off and leads the team to a fourth quarter victory. I think myself and about half the other Green Bay Packer fans that walk this earth feel the same way that I do. It's such a case by case basis, and I think that's fair to feel that way. And thankfully, we don't have to extend this guy until May, and we get to see a whole body of work to determine exactly what this guy's made of. But God bless it, wouldn't it be cool if we get into the playoffs and he might give one of those 2-3 seed teams a scare because this kid might just actually know how to play ball.
Well said, Schmitty there. I think for all of us, it's been a bit of a yo-yo, right? I don't mean to single you out in that way. You may be more so than your yo-yo has maybe higher highs and lower lows than a couple of the rest of us. But I've tried to keep a positive note with Jordan Love the whole time, but we knew there was going to be some growing pains. I do want to put up the current MVP odds here as we look at things. The reason I say that Jordan Love might get in the mix here is we had the primetime game with the Detroit Lions on Thanksgiving here. He's going to go to Kansas City. We'll give our predictions later on, but I'll let you know my feeling here right now that we're going to get it done Sunday night. and then we're going to take care of Tommy DeVito and the Giants on primetime Monday night. I think it's going to be hard to at least not have him in the mix here. Also, if you look at some of these guys, it hasn't been a particularly stellar year in terms of MVP years. I really think it should be a year where Tyreek Hill is getting in the discussion here when you look at the quarterback play there as well. So I might be getting a bit ahead of myself, but like I said, let's get out in front. I see so many Packer fans that are staying on the sidelines as we watch the ascendancy of Jordan Love here. I'm going to get out in front of it. Derek, am I losing my mind? What do you think? What do you think about the contract? What do you think about Jordan's progression here in general?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, Jordan Love, I mean, I think right away in the preseason, first time I kind of seriously watched him because I knew he's going to be our quarterback, right away I noticed he had poise and control of the huddle, which I was very impressed by that. It seems something minor, but, you know, the NFL is a big deal. And, your first time starting for the Green Bay Packers, and you seem to be in total control of at least the huddle and the guys, and you're calling out the plays and everything. That's, step number one. So he's got that down. He has the poise in the pocket that Gar has pointed out. I think earlier in the year he was making some throws a lot harder than they needed to be. If you watch the QB school, where he's moving in the pocket a little too much, but it's not like scrambling. It seems it's more like his comfortability is to like move a little bit before he makes his throw. Um, he's obviously got the arm talent, like that's very obvious. So I think the thing that's not really missing, but definitely something that's going to improve, which he's young, it makes sense, is his decision making and his reading the defenses. um, which that just gets better with time. There's no like glaring mistakes I can point to. Like as a first year starter, he makes same mistakes that everyone does. I'm sure if you look at Aaron Rodgers' first year, Love might be doing better than him in his first year, or pretty close, I think. I mean, it's pretty nitpicky, but like the touchdown to Jayden Reed, that was a scary throw, and that was probably the receiver's fault. I mean, it's an amazing throw, but I'm guessing there was something messed up with the routes there.
Yeah, Christian
Because
Watson ran the wrong route on that. It was supposed
yeah,
to be triple slant. He ran. Christian Watson was running double stick, and so that is not how you would draw that one.
right.
And your point about his performance being similar to Aaron Rodgers, I thought the statistics were pretty striking through their first 11 games as the starter. So not counting the Kansas City game for Jordan Love, they have both 2,599 yards passing and
Hmm.
21 total touchdowns to the number. So I thought that
Wow.
was pretty interesting. Also, Colt McCoy on Underdog Fantasy did a little bit of basically a quarterback school episode, but with a different channel, but did similar sort of deal. And he kept saying, "Wow, this really looks like Aaron Rodgers, the way he moves and his arm angles and those sorts of things." So he was careful not to maybe go quite as far as I did, but just in terms of the look and the aesthetics of it all, a lot of parallels there. I'll let you keep rolling, Derek, but just wanted to
Yeah, yeah. I
interject
just
that.
wanted to touch on the MVP race that you brought up. I don't think it's that outlandish if we can get it done against the Chiefs. That's a big if, obviously, but it's home prime time. I think I'm going to be there, so we're due for a win while I'm there. It's been a while. Um, After I was on such a roll, it seemed like. But, that would be a huge one, and then you get to show off again on prime time against the Giants, which, if he puts up performances like he has the last few games, and he does them against the Chiefs, and then, the not so good Giants, but it's on prime time. I think there's a competing Monday Night Football game, so it's not all eyes on it. I think he could jump in there if we're at somehow sitting at 7-6 after the next 2 weeks with a easy schedule to close it out. And like you said, the MVP candidates so far aren't that strong compared to other years. Even those the number 5 and 6, I didn't like too much. Brock, it's that the 49ers are just dominant across the board. And then Tua, like I love Tua, he's doing great as my fantasy quarterback, but a lot of that is Mostert and Tyreek. Like Tua had a terrible game this last week, and they still won by multiple touchdowns. So I think he could jump definitely into the top 10 in the race if he can get it done this weekend.
You love to hear it. Who'd have thought Jordan Love MVP discussions? Maybe we're a week ahead, but be interesting to see that play out. The other thing we all the three of us on the left here at least were pretty critical of the Rasul Douglas move. I think partially we had our emotions being involved there. Rasul, obviously, a leader of the team, and just a great Packer in general. He's a cool story, being an undrafted free agent and made a lot of big plays for us in the last couple of years here. So it was tough to see him go, but the tweet I wanted to highlight here for him is that in the 4 games since the Rasul Douglas trade, Carrington Valentine ranks 17 in PFF coverage grade. His 52.3 passer rating against is third in the whole league, and a 39.1% completion percentage allowed is second in the NFL over that stretch to only Jalen Ramsey. Pretty impressive stuff we're seeing out of Carrington Valentine. He, of course, had a really amazing preseason as well, so I'm excited to see him playing well. It looks like it's just a consistent thing, and we got a lot to be excited about that guy. Dad, what are your thoughts on that trade in the light of what we're seeing out of Carrington Valentine?
Yeah, I mean it's kind of a neutral deal for me. I really liked Rasul, but I think maybe as much as anything, you wouldn't say that Goody negotiated real hard to move up from a fifth to a third. But I just think that the difference in the pick afforded him the opportunity to get the young guys on the field, and clearly he had confidence in the young guys. You didn't even mention Ballantyne. It was the other rookie starting on the other side. Are you kidding me? We go into Detroit with 2 rookie cornerbacks. I heard we have 25 rookies on the 70-man roster, including our IR guys. It's just unbelievable, the youth of this team. And so it's quite evident that Goody and the management are posturing this team for 24 and 25. And Rasul Douglas was not going to be in the mix for those years. And so he took the minimal move up from the fifth to the third. I would have thought he could have negotiated a little better than that and got I don't know, just give us a third round pick, doggone it, if you want him that bad, but who knows? Then he's blocking the way of a younger player, and it's hard to argue with that. I'm just gonna throw out there, maybe for now and for future podcasts. You tell me, I'm gonna switch gears back to our quarterback. You tell me what other quarterback in the entire National Football League you want for the future going forward for the Green Bay Packers other than Jordan Love as we sit here right now. There isn't another one I want. You can have Tua, you can have Jalen Hurts, you can have Brock Purdy, you can have uh, the guy in San Diego. I don't want any other one than Jordan Love. That's where I sit right here today. I don't. I certainly. Can you imagine the Jets uh, uh, wondering about the prospect? Could you take Aaron Rodgers back, and could we have Jordan Love? Oh my gosh, their heads would be exploding in New York. So, do we understand how lucky we are with the prospects of this kid and this young team? So, I'll shut up for a while. I just now I'm with Schmitty. There's going to be ups and downs. It'll be interesting to see how we do with the pressure on. But this is right where I hoped we'd be when we talked about early in the season. Can we get into the latter half of the season with games that matter and see and give our young guys some seasoning and experience in playoff type atmosphere games? And I just think maybe, Griff, we owe the Chiefs one. I think Jordan Love owes the Chiefs one for the way they so rudely treated him at Arrowhead Stadium with 0 pressures all night long. And the young kid was a little bit like a deer in the headlights with no answers. But I think you're going to see some answers at Lambeau Field on Sunday night with a little snow in the air.
Schmitty, I'm thinking you would maybe take Justin Fields over Jordan Love, right? You were at the Bears Vikings game last night. Who were you cheering for?
I was a Bears fan yesterday. My good friend Joe comes up every year, notable Bears fan. So whenever I'm sitting next to him in that stadium, we've done it now 5 times. I am the biggest Bears fan you've ever seen walk into that stadium. And let me tell you, Griffey, Justin Fields, he's also that guy. I don't like that this podcast has such a distaste for Justin Fields and what he's capable of doing. He found DJ Moore 11 times. All right. He strung together a game-winning drive. Did he have a couple fumbles? Sure. Should Eberflus had him do that quarterback draw when they only needed a field goal to go up 2 scores? I don't know. Maybe it's Eberflus that needs to get the walking papers. I think Justin Fields is a force, and he's only going to get better. He's ascending just like our quarterback, and I expect to see some very good matchups. Even the one that's coming at the end of this year, Justin Fields knows how to play ball, and I don't know if it's a coin flip, Griffey, but I could certainly see the argument of a coin flip. I might just want Justin Fields.
How many wide receiver screens did Justin Fields throw last night? I swear I saw 15 of them.
That's Luke Getsy. That's Luke Getsy.
And the last
that guy
drive,
doesn't know what the heck he's doing. I'm so glad that we got rid of him.
I mean, he's lucky DJ Moore was open by 20 yards because the 2 plays before that, he dropped back. He had no intention of throwing the ball. He wasn't even looking at his receivers, is what I said. He was waiting to run. And
Derek, we got to consider the source of this evaluation of the quarterback. This is the guy who predicted that the Chicago Bears would win the NFC North in the preseason this year. He said Gutekunst had no business ever drafting another player for the Green Bay Packers, and that Christian Watson had no business getting on the airplane to go to play Detroit. So just let Schmitty go. He'll come to his
Let me play with my yo-yo. Let me play with my yo-yo, please. Thank you.
I love Justin Fields. I loved him at Ohio State when he's playing with broken ribs and showed a lot of heart. He's got a lot of talent. He just might not be the long-term NFL quarterback talent.
Well, I'll say this about Justin Fields. I think he's a top 2 quarterback for the Chicago Bears in the year 2023 for sure.
I'll tell you what he is, gentlemen. He is Taysom Hill. He is a slot receiver, a tight end, a wildcat running back, and he is not an NFL quarterback. And they would do well to reduce his contract and make him a slot receiver and run him around with his 4.4 speed. Maybe he can play cornerback or safety, but he's not an NFL quarterback, and he never will be. And that's my final answer.
Well, I was happy to see the Bears win too, not really for our playoff implications. I think we'll go to the simulator in a moment. I think we pretty much got that locked up is where I'm at. This game didn't have a large impact for us. However, it did maybe knock the Bears out of the chance to go get Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr. or doing something like that. It might be tougher. I think the Bears are still at number 4, but hopefully someone else can snatch Marvin Harrison Jr. and we don't have to play against that guy for a decade. I do want to touch briefly, and Derek, I'll go to you on this one, on the Minnesota Vikings. And if you have any thoughts on the Seahawks, jump in there too. But those are the 2 teams that currently hold down the 6 and 7 spot in the playoff race. We saw an abysmal performance from Josh Dobbs last night. What do you think about the Vikings? My wife, who is, of course, a Viking fan, says they have no chance, put a fork in them. Where do you stand on that one?
I think your wife is correct. When the Kirk Cousins injury happened and then they went to Josh Dobbs and they had Josh Dobbs magic, and they had it for multiple weeks in a row, and then the Broncos was a heartbreaker. Going into this Bears game, I kind of was just like, the magic's going to be gone and this game's going to show it. He has been bouncing around like 7 different teams. I think 1 or 2 of them was the same team multiple different times, like 7 different teams in like the last 2 years or 2.5 years. Like, there's clearly, he's not a starting quarterback. It was going to show eventually, and I think it's going to continue to show for the rest of the year. When Cousins went down, I said Vikings are done. Clearly the NFC is terrible, so I don't know. I could talk about NFC playoff situation for multiple hours. But I don't think the Vikings, aside from they probably have a more favorable schedule than some, they're just not a threat to us. Losing at home to the Bears, I don't know if you know, but I think maybe last decade or maybe it's longer, but the Vikings statistically have the best home field advantage in the NFL over the last decade or however long it is. And that clearly is not the case this year, and it's not the case with Josh Dobbs at the helm against the Bears. To the Seahawks, again, another team that has been not putting it together the last few weeks. And I don't know if you guys know the schedule, but they're at the 49ers, at the Cowboys, and then at the home against the Eagles. So they're going to be touchdown underdogs minimum the next 3 games in a row. So I'm thinking we might not have to worry about the Seahawks too much. Then you got the NFC South. They're not very good, but they also have very easy schedules and play each other a lot. So I'm tiny bit worried about one of them as a competitor just because we don't have the tiebreaker against the Falcons, but not overly worried.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see how that shakes down. I can bring up the simulator here just temporarily. Um, the one scenario that I found to be kind of interesting here is probably one of the least likely scenarios. But I believe if we lose to the Chiefs and we lose to the Giants and the Panthers, but we win the other three here, we have a 61% chance of making the playoffs at 3-3. Now, just looking at the strengths of those opponents, that's probably not overly likely to happen. But that was what the Vikings loss did accomplish for us, is that we could sneak in even with a 3-3 scenario there. Which who would have thought that just a few short weeks ago? It's kind of crazy to see how that has changed. I want to jump into the matchup at hand here, though, guys. We have a pretty big one. Let's see where the odds go if we get it done this week, up to 70% chance if we can take down Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. Schmitty, I want to start with you and get your thoughts on the matchup on Sunday night here. What are your thoughts against the Chiefs?
I first want to key in on what our secondary will look like on Sunday. It sounds like we're going to get Stokes will be back. Savage potentially could play Russ and Jair. So I'm very curious. We talked about at length how those rookies have played so well for us. Who makes the decisions and who actually plays? I think it's reasonable to think that if Jair is healthy, that he takes one of the spots, and then we still see what Savage maybe we put him back at free safety. I think I kind of want that to be the case, and then leave Stokes on the sideline. So to start there, um, I'm really, really concerned that Chris Jones might just own Josh Myers all day on Sunday night. That's really what I'm keying in on. I still have nightmares about that big man playing for the Chiefs, and I think that our interior line isn't might not be up for the battle. So that's a concern. I'm sorry, Aaron Jones will not be playing. That's a concern. And so we're back to leaving 28, who I really do not like playing football for our football team, and don't think he has much talent at all. We're going to be reliant upon him heavily, especially if the Chiefs defense, who is one of the best in the league this year, they figured it out. They have longevity. You need to cut a guy like Tyreek Hill and then come up with different ways to win football games. And this year for them, it's having a really, really good defense. And so I think we get to see that Jordan Love test uh, that I think we all want to witness. How can this guy can he rattle off two incredible wins? And I got my yo-yo here, Griffey. I'm going to be doing walk the dogs around the worlds because my friend, the Packers are going to win 23-20 on Sunday night football. Get your banners out. We're coming for the Lions.
I like to see it. Maybe we get in the mix in the division race here. Wouldn't that be something?
We already
Dad, I
got
saw
the
you a
Lions
little bit.
committee. We got to get the Chiefs this week.
Fair enough, but I think he means in the division race there. Dad, I
Oh,
saw your reaction to
wow.
him mentioning even just the name Darnell Savage. Did that strike a nerve with you there?
Do that to
Do we
me.
want him?
Don't do. Get him on the practice squad. Get him off the bus. Get him. How are we going to take Simone Owens off the field? My gosh, that gymnastic safety we got scooping and scoring and tackling and hitting people. For the love of Pete, do not put Savage in for Owens. And maybe Rudy Ford can play, but I don't even want to see. I'm like Schmitty and Christian Watson. He does no business on that football field. Somebody please strain his hamstring again. We don't want to see him out there on the field, for crying out loud. All he is bad news Bears. So yeah, yeah, you saw my facial expressions. You were right. You hit the nail on the head. I don't want to see Savage on the football field. And I need to see the rookie kicker make some kicks now this week, for crying out loud.
What's your prediction for the affair?
You know, told you we owe him one, but now I'm having Schmitty got all talking about our center trying to block their stud interior lineman. But I would just say this, you know what? I expect that our expectation should be to win 4 of the next 6 games. And I would wonder what your playoff implicator there, your gonculator would say if we lost to the Chiefs and the Vikings at the Dome, because Mullen is going to start playing for the Vikings and they're going to play better. But I bet that gives us a pretty good chance, doesn't it? If we
I think
go
it's about
4-2, 80%.
I think it's in the 80s with
I
those
can.
two
You said if we
losses.
lose to the Chiefs and the Vikings and win the
Yep.
rest,
Buccaneers is the worst 2 losses. Yeah, look at that. 86.
up to 86 there.
That is a realistic expectation. I think all of us are going to be disappointed at this point if they can't accomplish that. And so the euphoria is overcoming me, and I'm going to predict they're going to shock the world Sunday night, and Jordan Love is going to pay back the Chiefs for the rude treatment that they gave him down at Arrowhead Stadium last year, and his calm and cool demeanor combined. And the only way we goof this up is if Darnell Savage plays on the back end. So Lord, please keep him off the field.
I think the bigger question is after we get this one done and we beat the Vikings, what sort of odds are they giving us to host a wild card matchup?
22.
Up to 1-4 about there. Derek, what are your thoughts on this matchup against the Kansas City Chiefs?
So, just to touch on Schmidt's point about Chris Jones, is there any chance he's from Houston, played for Mississippi State? Is there any chance maybe he doesn't like playing motivated and we can, keep him in check for most of the game and, get a, lineman, little running back check on him, not have to worry about him too much. I don't think I'm concerned about that. We held Lions, that's Aiden Hutchinson, right? I don't remember him making many plays last week. So yeah, I don't know, since I don't think my record's really tracked on this show, with my
We have records though. We can go back and check it out.
let's not. And I will predict a 27-21 victory for the Green Bay Packers.
And I don't have a logo for you, I guess, there apparently.
No worries.
But you got the
I don't
jersey,
know.
the shirt to cover it for us there.
Yeah.
You guys heard my projection already here. You know where I'm at. How could you pick against them this week after what we saw? And every time we've done that, every time we've all thought the Packers were ready to zig and take off this year, they've kind of zagged on us. So hopefully this is the week that bucks that trend. But certainly going to be a fun one to tune in and watch. And who knows, maybe it launches Jordan Love into that MVP consideration there. Dad, on one more positive note, we have a chance, you saw it there, if we run the table, a term that we've heard in Green Bay, to host a wild card matchup, potentially have one extra game at Lambeau Field this year. Any reason to hold out hope for that, or do we got to get prepared to go play in a dome somewhere?
No, we're not running the table. Let's just get expectations in line. Jordan Love is not winning the MVP, but I will stick by my prior prognostication that he will be in the Pro Bowl within 3 years. I might have been a little late on that prediction, but we sure are going to have fun going down the stretch watching this team. And I think we would all agree at this point, it'll be very disappointing if this team doesn't end up with 9 wins and squarely in playoff position, which would be just fantastic. Win, lose, or draw in that playoff game. Unbelievable with this group of rookies to get that kind of seasoning and experience for them and for Jordan Love. Boy, oh boy, it should be very entertaining and exciting, and hopefully we continue to see this team on the rise, regardless of how it comes out Sunday night. But I think we're going to see him put a good foot forward Sunday night. And let's hope we get some breaks and some turnovers, and the kicker makes the kicks, and we could just maybe need 4 fingers like Schmitty does there and fill her up and knock her back.
I like it. Derek, do you have any closing thoughts to wrap up the show here on your end?
Yeah, I guess the only closing thoughts I have is, I mean, if you take a step back as a Packer fan, we have to be pretty pleased with how the season is at this point. At times it was way probably way well, not way worse, but a little worse than what you would have expected. But if you look back at last year, I kept thinking this is a lot like last year, where it's like, oh, if we just would have beat the Raiders, if we just would have beat the Broncos, like, we'd be, those percentages to make the playoffs would be through the roof and stuff. But last year it was run the table type situations, I think, at this point. And right now we're at let's win 4 out of 6, and we're most likely in. And at the beginning of the season, you got to be pretty pleased with that. If you look at the schedule and you say you only have to go 4-2 to make the playoffs, and you see how bad of a schedule that is, and hopefully the Vikings won with Dobbs showing, I think, his true colors last night. I'm pretty pleased and excited to hopefully watch some mid-January football for this team.
I love it. Schmitty, maybe another pep talk for Christian Watson. The one you gave him last time worked pretty well for us. If you do that again, he might be averaging 200 yards a game.
I mean, Christ, Griffey, if Jordan Love doesn't underthrow him, he'd be sprinting down the sideline for a touchdown on that first play. So the jury's still out on him. He's not my favorite. I don't need to buy his jersey just yet. I'll buy number 10s though if he comes and wins that game on Sunday. Ooh, I might buy the alternate colorway too, Griffey. I just might be prancing around this place with yo-yos in hand, going butt naked crazy in here, running down, using my Christmas tree as a stripper pole, going wild, having 5 fingers, Gar. But
Careful,
no,
Schmitty, on that Christmas tree. We aren't going to pull any needles out of you.
Griffey, really cool things to call out. Or one thing I have really enjoyed, Tucker Kraft. I didn't think that he was going to be much beyond a special teams player this year. And now we're going to rely on him probably for the rest of the year to be our number 1 tight end. And I think he might just have that capability in him. So that's one guy to key in on Sunday. And then what in the heck are we doing with our offensive linemen? Split snaps. We don't know who the heck is playing where. Please get our 5 best guys out there. I don't care who it is, who it needs to be. You have a really tough task in front of you. Let's see if we know who our 5 best guys are. I hope that they have a plan for that defensive line on Sunday.
I like it. Thanks for joining us here tonight, guys. I'm excited to see where things lie a week from now. We'll see what it looks like. My last thought, I think number 11 and number 37 jerseys might look good for your loved ones this holiday season. I think those two are going to age pretty well. We'll see what that prediction looks like moving forward. Thank you guys once again. Have a good night.
Go
Love
Pack,
you
go.
guys.